Hi again, welcome back to week 6 of the 6-month journey. I started to change my life slowly, intentionally, and full of honesty. This week looked quieter again on the outside, but on the inside, something did happen. It wasn't dramatic, nothing went wrong, but I was carrying a pressure I actually didn't fully realize until I sat down to write the script. Because even though I was moving, I went to the gym, I studied, I finished my paperwork, I showed up, and there was this voice in my head that kept whispering, "Is that it? Is that really enough?" And I noticed something strange for me, and maybe, I guess a lot of you can relate too. The quieter my schedule got, the louder my self-doubt became. So let's not talk about achievements, but rather what happens in between them. Like when you're trying your best quietly and steadily, but something inside you still says, you should be doing more. This week taught me how much pressure can come from things that are actually positive, like compliments or opportunities or someone seeing your potential and you expecting to rise to it, or you think you need to rise to it, but we will come back to this later. So I want to talk about all of that today. If you've ever felt like your quiet wins aren't real enough, if you ever felt like you owe success to the people who believe in you, or if you're just trying to stay grounded in a slow season, this one is for you. Let's talk about what it means to hold space for growth that hasn't happened yet, without letting that space turn into shame. So let's start with the most glamorous part of entrepreneurship or just being an adult itself, tax documents. This week I had to finalize and file in all our tax and legal paperwork for the quarter. In Germany, the Finanzamt tax office gives you a 2-week grace period after the quarter ends to hand everything in. And yes, of course, I waited until the very last moments, the final days. So here I was, deep in spreadsheets and receipts and forms and corrections. It totally wasn't exciting, it wasn't creative, and no one claps for the founder who reconciles all her invoices, but this is part of what building something actually looks like. And while I was doing it, I caught myself thinking, does this feel like progress? Why? Because there's no dopamine in maintenance. There's no applause in admin, but there's integrity in it, like filing your taxes, staying legal, keeping your foundation solid. That's the stuff that allows your work to grow big later. The groundwork in an important and a very tiring path. But it's kind of necessary because I don't want anyone to be able to sue me later. So here's a reminder, if you're in a similar season, just because no one sees it doesn't mean it doesn't matter. Some weeks are about visibility, others are just about legibility. Making sure your back end matches your front end. If you're building something real, the boring parts are not optional. They're basically the floor your future is standing on. Another thing I ran into this week, the summer is slowing down. If you run anything with schooling in Germany or probably anywhere in Europe, you know that once the summer holidays hit, people just vanish. Last year I had the fortune that a lot of my students wanted to have a head start in the upcoming semester, in the upcoming school year, and they started with me during the break, during the summer holidays, because that's usually the season where the sheep are separating from the goats. And this year, most of my students graduated, some even with honors, and that made me very, very proud. But also it means for me, for myself, my once packed calendar suddenly felt way too light. I still have a few sessions, but it's super quiet. And honestly, that quiet feels like a threat. It's not just a business dip or something, it's like an identity one, because when your routine is tied to your role, I'm a tutor, I'm a founder, I'm a student, a pause in this whole activity can feel like a pause on purpose, because of course we know better. So instead of spiraling again, I sat down and asked myself, what would it mean to prepare quietly for the next chapter? So what do we do best? Planning. Brainstorming new marketing for September, reviewing feedback from past students, listening to potential referral networks I haven't tapped into yet, and exploring collaboration with other maybe local schools or shops or actually anything really. And I also gave myself permission to consider, what if this is a bit of a vacation? What if the mind needs actually the space, just like fields need time to lie fallow? And here's what I'm also realizing: stillness without strategy is stagnation. But stillness with strategy, that's incubation. If you're also in a summer lull or waiting for seasons to change, or have a business dry spell or something, remember, you're not behind, you're preparing. Maybe quietly, maybe deeply, but very well. Now let's talk about a real moment that cracked open my shell this week. I submitted an application for the OEB 30 Under 30 award. If you don't know it, OEB stands for Online Educa Berlin. It's a major international conference for digital education and edtech. And every year they select 30 people under 30 who are shaping the future of learning. I didn't talk much about it before because honestly, part of me didn't believe I was actually qualified. But my professor did, my mentors did, and my peers did. Actually, my professor even wrote a reference letter that I don't have to write words for it, but reading it felt like looking at a version of myself I fully haven't become yet, a version that I want to grow into, someone who's making like real impact, not just like working hard behind the scenes. And this belief is beautiful, but it's also very heavy on me. It's so rewarding to read that. Like, he already sees in me what kind of person I don't dare to visualize yet, but apparently already are. And suddenly I felt like I owed him something, like I had to prove him right. Like I couldn't fail now because his words were so generous. And that pressure, you might have felt this in a different or similar situation too. Because that pressure didn't come from him. It came from me. It comes from inside of us. This is something I think a lot of high achievers like you might feel but never say. The more people believe in you, the more pressure you feel to become worth of that belief. Where compliments feel like contracts and praise turns into performance, and that's totally not healthy. So I sat with it, I wrote about it in my journal. I asked what it would look like to receive this belief without needing to immediately fulfill it. Because the truth is, no one writes you a reference letter expecting you to be perfection. They write it because they see your effort, your values, and your growth. You don't have to already be that person they describe. You just have to keep becoming that person. So if someone in your life has spoken belief into you recently, don't panic, don't shrink, receive it, thank it, let it stretch you, and remember, the pressure to live up to it isn't the point. The invitation to believe in yourself, to become a little more, that's what it is. Okay, let's bring it back to the earth for a second. This week wasn't all heavy emotion and extensional self-reflection and crisis. There were a few light and lovely moments too. First of all, another usability testing session for our study app, and this time the feedback was so good, overwhelming, positive. We are finally hitting a mark with usability. Our users moved through it intuitively. A teacher said that she could definitely see this being used in the schools, and that one sentence really made my week in business terms. Second, my gym buddy is back. Her ankle is healing, so we're still avoiding cardio and leg day, but we did the upper body workouts together and even went to a gym class again, but this time only yoga. But it's so nice to feel and see that showing up with someone completely changes your energy. Progress isn't always in pushing harder, it's staying consistent. I can be your accountability buddy if you want. And third, I went to a school reunion festival. It was such a random blast, but from the past. Old class pictures were posted on all the walls, and I found this so hilariously awkward. A photo of myself I found when I was like 11. I dressed up for a carnival. I didn't have money that time to buy a costume or something, so I just painted myself white and red and then dressed fully black, and it was, I don't know what I was wearing. But beyond the cringe, it also something very sweet, because that girl in the photo, she had no idea who'd she become. She thought she's going to be a doctor or a renowned scientist, chasing dreams with all of her knowledge. She had no clue about founding startups, writing papers, or applying for any awards. She was just showing up, like being silly, growing up, and maybe that's what I'm still doing. Just showing up, just chasing my dreams, and just becoming a different version of myself every day. see what life has in it for me, right? And I hope you're doing this too. Please go on, chase your dreams. The final note this week was this sense of privilege I've been reflecting on as my semester winds down. Most of my peers will be taking exams deep into September, but me, all my exams and papers and presentations are crammed within 2 weeks directly after the lectures are over. So I'll be done much earlier than my friends, which means I get something rare in the German academic world. August and September completely study-free. 2 full months to breathe, no lectures, no looming deadlines, no submissions. I want to use that time well, not in a grind everyday way, but in a what does my mind need most right now way. So I'm sketching ideas again, planning for the next user testing, outlining scripts for this YouTube series, reorganizing my personal productivity systems, and deepening into the reading and research I actually enjoy. Okay, yeah, maybe I'm still grinding a bit, but everything evolves around my own intention and with how I can help people with the things that I'm doing. I really hope my videos are helping you too. Because time is a privilege, but like all privileges, it's extremely easy to waste if you don't define them. So my challenge to myself and maybe to you too, if you have time, ask what it's for. If you have space, decide what it's holding in. Because without intention, even free time becomes a burden. So here we are, week 6, no major breakthrough, no dramatic pivots, but somehow it still feels like a turning point because this week reminded me that belief from others can be beautiful, but it's not something you have to earn back. And time off doesn't always feel relaxing, but that doesn't make it wrong. And showing up on paper, in the gym, in your inbox, in your values, that counts, even when it's very quiet. This week was a gentle check-in with myself, and I'm proud of how I handled it. Not because I did everything perfectly, but because I didn't spiral. I didn't collapse under all this pressure, and I noticed it, I named it, and I moved through it. Sometimes your biggest win is just continuing on the path, especially when no one is cheering and nothing is urgent. That's when you learn whether your habits are really yours or just a reaction to the chaos. You want to act, not react. So if you're watching this and you're in a slower season of feeling the weight of potential, or just wondering if you're doing is enough, let me tell you, enough isn't a finish line, it's a relationship. And you get to choose how you define it. Let's open up in the comments this week. What kind of belief are you carrying right now? Do you feel like someone else sees more in you than you actually see in yourself? What is it? Who is it? And what's your relationship with empty time? Do you love it or do you fear it? Do you avoid it? Let's talk about all this invisible stuff, the quiet pressure, the soft doubts. You're not the only one feeling them. And if you're new here, this is part of my 6-month series where I document my real life, real-time process of growth as a founder, student, creator, and human. Every week I post a reflection, not just about what I did, but what I learned, and you can learn from it too. If that kind of journey resonates with you, please subscribe, stick around. Until then, keep growing quietly, gently, deeply, and one intentional step at a time. You are enough, even in progress. So, see you next week.